One of the earliest to study the unconscious and memory was the French physician Pierre, who lived between 1859 and 1947, who worked at a hospital in Paris in 1880s and 1890s. His work predates Sigmund Freud's psychoanalysis, so some argue he was the true pioneer of the subconscious mind. He observed trauma among his patients who were terrorized by some past traumatic experiences. In other words, there was no terror in the present life, but it was inside the subconscious mind. So some past memories were haunting these people. He called this phenomena disassociation. What does it mean? Simply put, it means you are safe right now, but the past trauma is still inside you and telling you that you're not safe, hence the name disassociation. For Janet, this trauma that caused disassociation might or might not have happened to the person. If someone experiences a traumatic experience during their childhood, which they may have forgotten, it doesn't go away, but merely sits in the subconscious, and when triggered by something else, they resurface. But he also said the experience of dissociation could also happen to people without past trauma, because some people are more predisposed to feel that way. This perhaps hints at the Jungian collective unconscious, and that we inherit some traumas from our past ancestors. For example, we all have nightmares such as falling down from high place, perhaps an experience passed down to us from our human ancestors as well as primate ancestors living in trees. Most people have nightmares while asleep, but those suffering from hysteria experience those nightmares during their waking hours. Sigmund Freud read Janet's book. While rejecting some of his ideas, he was immensely influenced by him. In the next section, I'll discuss Freud and Jung. So to sum up, psychologists have tried to understand consciousness. There were two approaches when it came to explaining consciousness. German structuralism led by Wilhelm Wundt and Anglo-American functionalism led by another Wilhelm, William James. For the structuralists, consciousness is like any structure that can be broken down to its parts, and then those parts can be studied and analyzed. Wundt broke down consciousness into three parts: representation, willing, and feeling, just like a house made up of exteriors, interiors, and temperature regulation. So to put it crudely, structuralism sees consciousness as structure built by someone, i.e. God or someone else. If you see a machine or a house, your immediate reaction is that someone must have created it. So that's the structuralist view. But if you see a river, your immediate thought is not a creator, but rather you see it as an organic process, which is a functionalist view. Functionalists see consciousness as an adaptive mechanism that has evolved, and it functions the way it does because it has evolved to solve problems of existence. It's more fluid rather than a solid structure. Consciousness changes and adapts in response to its environment. While functionalism has more Anglo-Saxon roots thanks to Charles Darwin's influence, structuralist school of psychology has more German roots due to its influence of German idealist philosophers such as Kant, Hegel, and Schopenhauer. Anglo-Saxon philosophy has traditionally prioritized pragmatism, while the philosophy of the continental Europe prioritized ideas. I should also mention that in Russian-speaking world, another school of psychology was more prevalent, which took a more physiological approach to the study of consciousness. So the Russians mostly focused on the brain studies and how consciousness and the brain are connected. This is partly due to communism prioritizing materialism. So some of the most influential studies of the brain have been done in Russia, and again it goes back to Pavlov, who took a behaviorist approach to psychology.